Hi, Stefan. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Um, yeah, this is going to be fun, isn't it?
Uh, well, like we said, messaging each other, we hope it's cathartic.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your overriding sense?
A sense of disappointment.
So, yeah, like, yeah. Okay, with who? Disappointment. Disappointed with who?
Massive disappointment. This is killer a little bit. The decisions of the manager a little bit. Uh, the club as a whole a little bit. You know, it's all little things that have chipped away. Uh, but then we knew how fragile we were. Uh, and it just makes these two defeats because of the timing, I suppose. Just so
Yeah, the
well,
manner as well, the manner of the defeats, and the collateral damage with well, Tierney wasn't related to the two defeats, but Party was.
yeah,
Um, just as you were talking there, I was thinking that all our victories in that good run we were on, I think all bar one were by a single goal. So
true.
so that
Yeah,
was we were always teaching, and I do remember I did a little piece to camera on the way back from the Burnley game, 0-0. And I think my overriding sense was that if we didn't sign a striker in January, I said we'd struggle to get top six.
well,
Um,
it's telling on a day that, and I'm sure we'll talk about other results, but the top four is being defined by firepower really alone. So yeah, we are a step below, just simple as.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. I I'm disappointed as well, but I think maybe a bit unlike you, my disappointment is channeled in one direction, and that's today's result loss is lies firmly at the feet of Arteta, as far as I'm concerned. I think that yeah, okay, players did have a bit of an off game. They did start without the reaction we were hoping for after losing to Palace. But I think I was in a different seat today for the first half. I was up in the North Bank upper, and
Yeah,
you have a very different view. You get that kind of very you're very aware of the formation and tactically far more aware of what's going on than we are down in row five and in the lower tier. Um, but within 5 minutes, I'd written down. I took notes on my phone for the first time ever, and I say take notes. I didn't know how to do that, so I just opened a text message and pretended and just didn't. I just typed in into the message bit. So there's my notes with no, you can't see that, but no recipient. But I made notes, and I just wrote down don't like the start. That was on 5 minutes. The first two words after that were no control, and that was targeted at the midfield. And why was there no control in the midfield? Well, Party obviously not there, but Xhaka, who does offer that, is playing at left back. Now, we tried that last season and failed miserably, and it cost us. So I don't understand why he thought that. What's the definition of, is it stupidity or insanity? Trying the same thing again and again, but expecting a different outcome. I don't
yeah,
understand why he thought it would suddenly work. You're home to Brighton, who cannot score a goal, who will offer very little in an attacking sense. Ironically, the goal they got, the only chance they had in the first half, the goal they got came down Xhaka's side. Now, I'm not, to be fair, I haven't actually seen the goal again. I haven't watched it.
well, I won't be watching highlights of that game. I don't think.
no, no, I might, if the Man United game highlights are on first on match day, I might watch them, but I don't think I
Well,
can.
we watched that in the pub before, well, most of it anyway. And even though Man United were very much camped in Everton's half, I mean, they didn't trouble Pickford a huge amount. There was definitely no injustice by the result. Everton were worth their win. They defended resolutely. They took their chance, albeit with an almighty deflection off Maguire. But, you know, were played positively. And United looked, to be honest, their performance mirrored ours. There was a certain sort of, I don't know, abjectness to it and a kind of passivity to it, you know.
Well, yeah. So we had no control. No one Brighton dominated or controlled with ease the opening. Well, do you know what, the game, bar the last 6 or 7 minutes? That, you know, I mean, okay, we could have got the marginal offside, ridiculously taking 4 minutes on VAR. By the way, what the hell? It's either offside or it isn't offside. What were they looking at? And if it's that, is that a clear and obvious offside? In which case, isn't the advantage supposed to go to the attacking team?
I'm not sure the clear and obvious thing applies to offside
Well,
decisions.
okay, fine. And I was saying to anybody who would listen to me up in the upper tier, which is probably nobody, it's either offside or it isn't. What's taking 4 minutes?
Oh, it took a stupidly long time. It was a farce.
So that could have gone with us. And to be fair, I was thinking, look, we need this because whatever chance we have of scoring 1 goal in the second half, we haven't got a hope in hell of scoring 2 goals, and we didn't deserve to be going in level. And Brighton had one other chance in the first half. It's not that they weren't ripping us apart or anything, but we were just creating nothing. Martinelli had that one run down the left where he cut it back, and 2 players, Smith Rowe and someone else, got in each other's way, and it was a very tame effort in the end. I think that was it. This is a team who are shorn of confidence, who haven't won in 7 games, who can't score a goal for love nor money. And it's easy for them because we had nobody in the centre of the park to control the ball, the tempo. Odegaard should have been playing a lot deeper to be that person, perhaps. I don't understand. I couldn't understand as well. Saka and Martinelli, I know this is a tactic, but they were hugging the touchlines. And I'm like, but we're not getting the ball. We need them to tuck in. So there's at least some bodies in there to put the foot on the ball. We're very good at those intricate one-touch passes, but we don't seem to do them. We want to get the ball out wide for what? To cross it into the box where there's a giant, number 5, Lewis Dunk, saying thank you very much. I love that. It was so to take Xhaka out of the centre of the midfield was a mistake, but it was a mistake that he acknowledged and he changed at half time. But why the hell he didn't need another 45 minutes of evidence? We knew that from before. Xhaka is not a left back. He's got his flaws, but we're a much better team with him in the middle of the park, where he's with someone else. And he did, like we said at the start of the second half, first 10 minutes, we hadn't created any chances, but the intensity was back. We were at least, and then we just kind of ran out. We huffed and puffed. They got a second, ran out. I think I said to you, 10 minutes to go, I said, they've given up. But then I don't know what happened. And Nketiah did more again. That's 2 games in a row. He's done much more when he's come on than Lacazette has done. Now, I know Lacazette stayed on. And I know Martinelli went off because I know people on Twitter were complaining about Martinelli going off. But what they don't realise is that possibly he had cramp.
Oh, he was spent, yeah.
Yeah, 68 minutes he went down with cramp, and one of the Brighton players was kind of stretching out his leg for him. So I think that was a substitution forced upon Arteta. Did we make a 3rd change?
Do you know what? I can't even remember now. I'm not sure we did, to be honest. No. Did El Neni come on at all? No, I don't think he did.
Shore things up at the back.
The only other senior player, apart from Rob Holding, on the bench.
Yeah. But then why not give one of these, like Amari Hutchison is the live wire, why not give him a go? As you said, it couldn't be worse than. Having said that, in fairness, the last 7-8 minutes, including the stoppage time, it's like, where was that performance?
That's exactly what lots of people have said. People around us, people I was on the bus with on the way back. The 3 things, or the few things that sort of came up were yeah, why is Xhaka at left back? I was quite surprised by the number of people who said, surely this is a game for Tavares.
Yes.
Where Brighton aren't very prolific. So the emphasis might not be on him defending.
Yeah.
Um,
it would have been a great game to get him back into the fold.
And psychologically,
yes.
to get him back into the fold. He was on the bench, so he's part of the team and the squad, you know, and by moving Xhaka to left back, there's that knock on of other problems then to solve. And for all, you know, Lokonga's young, to leave him, he was so exposed.
Oh, completely. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We handed the initiative to Brighton in that one move.
Yeah.
You said something.
And then the other thing was a lot of people just commenting on, you know, where was that intensity at the end, you know, in the rest of the game? Because following such an insipid performance against Palace, you know, it's a very sort of English football fan thing to say, but where's the reaction?
Yeah.
And we started the game with zero intensity.
And it wasn't like Palace. Brighton weren't in our faces.
No.
It was very different. It was all on us.
Yeah.
Brighton must have been thinking, this is easy. Well, what?
I'm a little bit confused by the message because, you know, we have that terrible game against Palace. Tavares is hooked at half time. So there's a game against Brighton coming up at home, a team out of form, a chance to kind of, you know, pick things back up. But, you know, there's a couple of things that the Tavares change sticks and he moves another player out of position, which, you know, in hindsight has left us with more problems. He did try and rectify that, but there we go. And I did glance just before we started chatting at Arteta's post-match.
Yeah.
And he's actually quite critical of, he kind of puts it on the players.
He does, big time.
Actually, he does use certain pronouns like we. So, you know, that he's still remaining slightly inclusive. You know, we didn't have enough intensity. We didn't do the things we wanted to do and all this. But essentially what he's hinting at, to me, this is how I interpret it, is I wanted the players to be more energetic. I wanted them to press harder. And I also wanted them to take more risks when passing the ball. He literally said about playing the ball forward, which seems like such a reductive thing to say. But actually, like you said, if Martinelli and Saka are that wide, they're that wide as an outball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're out in acres of space so that if you do a long pass to them, it's got the time, the ball's got the time to travel, reach them so they can control it and shift the angle of play so that someone who hasn't either made the pass or is receiving it can make a run to give them an immediate option. And that just didn't happen at all. And, you know, whether that's the players, their confidence is low after an international break and a poor result last Monday, or if they were under orders to be a little bit more controlled and Arteta's just gone and said what he hopes the fans want to hear. I don't know.
I mean, there were sloppy passes. Gabriel again. I wrote down these sleepless nights. Must be getting to him still. A
number of players that just wanted so much more time on the ball than they were going to get.
And the passes were a bit behind the target.
Yeah, everything seems to be just off at the minute. Yeah, everything. Everyone's a half a yard short, and the passing's not quite right, and the control is not quite right, and the energy levels have just dipped a little bit. But that all adds up to these last two performances. And
on the Nuno thing, Tavares thing, he got a great reception from the crowd when he was warmed up in the first half.
I was surprised how positive it was. Yeah,
and so the crowd. And around me, I must admit, the crowd were, in that first half, they were very supportive. They were even these misplaced passes, it was all very positive up where I was in that first half. Well, the first 30 minutes. So Tavares it would have been a perfect game to reintegrate him into that team, knowing that Tierney isn't available for the rest of the season. Because we've now got, so what's Arteta going to do for Southampton away next weekend? He's not going to play Xhaka there. because he changed that at half time.
Can't do.
That didn't work. Partey's not back. He's not back. Partey's out for the season. That's reading between the lines. I think that's quite clear. Right. So who else have we got? Is Tomiyasu? Was it 2 more games? But like, we haven't seen him for so long, and he won't be fit and firing all cylinders, match fit for probably till the last 2 or 3 games of the season, if indeed at all this season, for the remainder of the season. So, because one alternative could be putting Tomiyasu at right back and switching Cedric over to left back. At least you've got a full back playing in a full back's position, even if he is. And what is it with Cedric? And since when have I fallen asleep for a couple of years and woken up and missed the whole transformation of Cedric into this set piece master? Like, what corners, free kicks?
His corners were quite good.
Were they?
That free kick was.
They kept hitting the near post and all the keeper.
Not all of them. No, not all of them.
The ones I choose to remember.
But also the issue is you're playing Brighton, so the thought process. I mean, the free kicks in the second half were just comical. There were 3.
The one that hit the crossbar.
The first one, Cedric takes, which hits our own player trying to disrupt the wall and goes out for a goal kick, which was just atrocious.
Yeah, brilliant.
The second one is a short one to Martinelli. He tries to turn around the corner of the free kick wall and then gets ushered out wide. And comes
Brighton players, yeah.
And then Odegaard takes one and hits the bar. And you're like, why didn't he take them at the start?
That should have been the first one. But everybody in the ground knew that should have been the first one.
It's like, I'm only inferring from what I've seen. It's like before the game, we've gone, okay, Brighton have really big defenders. They've got Dunk, who might be flanked by Cucurella and Veltman, who are a bit shorter, but, at set pieces, Sanchez is a big, tall keeper as well. So pumping the ball in the box, crosses and all that thing's not really going to work. So we've got to do something different. And so later on, when we're chasing the game in that last sort of quarter, what are we doing? Corners, pumping it into the middle. And Sanchez is just going, thanks. Yeah, I'll take that. So I don't know. I just found the whole thing really baffling.
So answer my question, if you can. Look into your crystal ball. Name our left back against Southampton on Saturday.
Well, right. So trying to think logically, because I think Xhaka and Lokonga has to be the midfield too. So you're either playing Saka at left back, Bukayo Saka, but you do lose something going forward. I understand that.
Pepe could come in.
Pardon?
Pepe could come in.
Pepe could come in, or Smith. You can jig around the front line. That's fine. Although we're not creating an awful lot. And I think, especially given the confidence that we don't seem to have at the moment, go to a back 3, White, Gabriel, Holding, put Cedric, and then you've got a choice. You could actually take the risk with Tavares again, because he is a more forward-thinking, dynamic, raw.
And he played well at the start of the season.
And did quite well at the start of the season. But, he is raw. But also, by having him as a wing-back, essentially you're taking some defensive pressure off him a little bit. Or you put Saka as a wing-back as well. So you still get some attacking threat from Saka without, leaving yourself completely open. That would be my logical thinking. What I think will actually happen is it might be more of the same, to be honest. I think if anything might happen, it might be Odegaard who drops deeper with Lokonga and plays more of a quarterback role.
I mean, he should have done that. That should have happened in the first half anyway. Right, hang on. So let's say they go. I'm writing this down because I have to. Let's say they go to a back 3. We've got Gabriel in the middle. No. White.
Holding would be in the middle with White and Gabriel either side, I'd have thought.
Yeah. And then you've got Tavares, Saka, and you've got Cedric. Go on, then. You've got Lokonga as the
Xhaka and Lokonga is your middle 2.
So Lokonga slightly deeper, but because there's 3 centre backs, that's not as Critical, right? Go on then. Xhaka
And
and Fonda.
then you need a front three, which would be for me Martinelli on one side, and then
Why was Martinelli getting cramp in 68 minutes?
because he was the only one running around like he had a rocket. He was the only one.
Yeah. So who's playing on the right?
Well, if Saka plays the sort of left-sided role as a wing back, then I mean I'd be tempted by Pepe or Smith Rowe.
So I think Martinelli should be through the middle.
Well, then there's the conversation about the centre forward, and it's taken me a little bit longer than you, but Lacazette, because actually, he's earned some credit because of the team play that he's done, but actually,
he's not doing that now.
He doesn't even do that. Today, did he win one duel for the ball?
I've folded my arms. I've started talking about Lacazette. I've closed off my body. I can't. No, he didn't, and he was losing out to. Fine. He's not going to win a duel against Lewis Dunk. That's not going to happen. But at least make it uncomfortable for him.
So mix up the play.
Yeah.
So pop up in areas where people don't expect you, or anticipate runs and things that are going on. But he always seems just so further behind.
Yeah. He doesn't have. He no longer has his game. I mean, you look at Karim Benzema during the week, and you see him link up the play, ping it out wide, and hang on a minute, but he gets onto the end of the cross as well and scores a goal. He's 34. He's 4 years older than Lacazette.
Benzema is an elite striker.
Yeah, no, for sure. Having said that, they're both 5 years ago, they're both French internationals, and I'm not saying he needs to score the amount of goals that Benzema scores, but he shouldn't be physically incapable of getting into the box after linking up the play. But he's not even linking up the play now. It's bouncing off it. It's like, and I'm not listening to anybody say, "Oh, he tries really hard." Look, do you know what? You put me on that pitch, I'd try harder than Lacazette. I'd still be crap.
Yeah.
So
what's telling is it probably should have been obvious to us all for the whole time, because under Wenger, Emery, and Arteta, Lacazette has been a regular player to be substituted.
Yeah, never makes the 90 minutes. Yeah.
Does he? I just don't think he has the physiology to be as quick and as strong as he needs to be.
I mean, it's the Tavares / Xhaka decision at left back. It was the wrong call for left back, and I'm not saying this retrospectively. I said it at the time. It took Xhaka out of the middle.
Funnily enough, sorry to interrupt, but before the game, obviously the team news came out. We were in the pub watching the United game, and everyone's looked at the way this. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Sky Sports, might have been someone else. They projected the team with Xhaka at left back, and everyone went, "Nah, they must have got that wrong. It'll be this, and this, and that." And of course, when they line up on the pitch, everyone's going, "Xhaka is left back." Yeah. So we all wondered about that.
Exactly, and then playing Lacazette from the start. How many? We must be touching 19 hours now without a goal.
Oh, easy.
Because that was 17 hours and something after the Palace game. There's another hour and a half onto that.
He's too comfortable. If you're undroppable after 19 hours of no goals as a striker, what does he have to do?
I'd love to be an accredited journalist, and I'd ask Arteta, does he believe a striker should score some goals? Like, what is it? What is the role of a striker? Arteta has gone on record saying that we need to be scoring up towards 100 goals a season to compete with the elite teams.
And he'll know that from his time at Man City.
Yes.
A club under a manager, Guardiola, who has pioneered the idea of the false nine. Well, it's easy to implement a system when you've got world-class midfielders. And, you know, for all the positives we have around Martinelli and Saka and Smith Rowe and all those, it's not a world-class operating team. And it's also not a world-class defence backing it up. You know, for all the progress that our defence has made, and we have, we need a striker. We need a presence up front. Yeah. And for a player to go so long without, you know, that kind of contribution just is baffling. But is there a longer term plan? Did we get also a bit starry-eyed about the potential of top four when realistically it was probably never going to happen? And this whole thinning out of the squad, you know, reducing the numbers, reducing the wage bill, trying to make us leaner as a team and as a squad, you know, it's now starting to bite, because the injuries and the lack of firepower will cause our league position to end up, you know, being probably an improvement on last season. But, you know, when top four was so close, it was, well, I mean, and it still could happen, but today really, for me, has kind of killed it.
Yeah, today was a day that could have been really pivotal. And it has been pivotal. It has been pivotal, but not how. You know, I don't know who I messaged, but after the United result, it was like part one, tick. Now for part two, big X. And I checked on the BBC website. I checked after about 15 minutes the score, and I saw Tottenham had scored after the 3rd minute. I didn't check again.
Really?
I
when they went up, because we bet on the Grand National. We always have just a few quid here and there, some each way bets, just because I don't like betting on the horses, because, you know, it's a bit of a game. But the Grand National is a bit of a lottery. You get So we got some money back. We didn't get in as much as we bet, but I thought I'll use some of that. Do you know what? Tottenham scored. I bet they go rampant. I'll stick some money on a few goals being scored in that game, and now I'm in profit for the day. So if you can't beat them, profit from
them. And I usually bet on the. Do you know what? I normally, in this run that we've been on, like from January after the Burnley game, it's been getting quite exciting, but also very tense and nerve-wracking. So I've put a tenner on the opposition to win and to draw every game, apart from the Liverpool game, obviously, because I didn't think the odds weren't great for that. I didn't today. And I would have got the best odds of all the games today had I done Brighton to win. But I did not think for a second that Brighton would win. A draw, I didn't even count them as a draw. I'll be honest, I didn't. All my kind of pre-match expectations were that they would carry a caveat. You know, we should win this. Brighton are difficult to score against. Granted, they're not scoring goals, but they're difficult to break down. No one's turned them over recently, like to an embarrassing degree, like Southampton today, for example. So I figured it would be, but I didn't. I expected that. You know, even that last 7, 8, 10 minutes, however long it was, because on 82, 83 minutes, we hadn't made any effort. That hadn't started. That last high pressing hadn't kicked in. But even to have started that on like the 70th minute, there's no way Brighton would have withstood that. We were like battering them. And if we hit the woodwork twice, I know then that kind of passage of play led to the Odegaard goal. Was it Nketiah had the header that was tipped over?
Yes.
There was another clearance off the line by the Cucurella, which I thought might have been handball, but obviously it wasn't. And so we were like really banging on the door.
I think it's interesting that you described that late part of the game as us high pressing, when actually by that point to me it's just panic stations. Really.
But fine. But I remember us playing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge with 6 strikers on the pitch and winning the game. It's like it gets results. You know, panic, fine, but panic in their box. Do you know what I mean? Create panic in their box, not defend.
And
You
I
know,
want to know, surely the players have that in their minds. I mean, going by what Arteta's said in his post-match, that they needed more of that. And I do then question, well, why wasn't that message from you nice and clear? That they could take more risks, that they could, you know, come off the leash a little bit, because it all felt, to start with anyway, very safe. Like we were trying to ease our way into it, and we just never got there.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what minute it was. Lokonga had that shot, which just fizzed past the post. And I think that might have been just a. Okay, that was close. That was very close. I mean,
I always want teams to speculate like that more in the early part of the game, because I'm sure it was Fabregas. I remember hearing an interview years ago where he said that he would do that. He would try and get a shot away from, albeit from distance, within the first sort of 5-10 minutes, because the next time that he's in that sort of position again as a midfielder, he's hoping the opposition
come on,
remember that and come onto him and
Yeah.
create space elsewhere. But we don't, it was so sideways safe to begin with that, there wasn't even a pot shot or two.
I'd love the statistics on the amount of times that Gabriel passed to White. It just happens so many times. But again, you could see even Ramsdale in the second half get frustrated. He'd be looking for movement, and he wasn't seeing movement there.
There was none.
And if you've got the instruction to Saka and to Martinelli to stick onto the touchline, well then you've only got. I mean, Lacazette's not going to create much movement. He's just going to drop. He'll just basically do straight lines up and down, drop deep, and actually not go forward then. And you've then got Smith Rowe and Ødegaard, who are, I don't know, like their involvement in the game should have been much more. Now I think Smith Rowe was carrying an injury. He took a knock in the first half quite early, and I wasn't convinced by his fitness after that. And then he was hooked quite early as well.
But when he was substituted, arguably the few minutes that preceded it was his best spell in the game, because he'd done a couple of different sort of things in our build-up play where he'd, one attack, he was on one side picking up the ball and trying to knit things together, and then like literally with the next attack he was on the side that we sit and knitting things together and trying to create stuff, maybe winning a corner or two.
Yeah. And
then he's hooked. Like you said, fitness probably comes into it, and an injury and all those sorts of things like Martinelli. But it's just, I don't know, it's catch people while they're hot. I feel like maybe are Ødegaard and Smith Rowe too similar?
Too similar. Today, when you've got Martinelli out wide, yes, because it pushes Smith Rowe more into Ødegaard's territory. Whereas if Smith Rowe is that wide on the left player, then he's got all that space to work with. He's not encroaching on anyone else's territory there. So so what team? So go on. I want you to predict your starting 11 for Southampton then.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I simply can't, because,
Okay, what team do you want us to start with?
Well, I mean, I want to go to a back three. So I want Ramsdale in goal. I want Gabriel, Holding and White to be at the back. So there's extra cover. If we're attacked, the midfielders, there's less responsibility on them and the wing back.
So
Cedric on the right.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would put Bukayo Saka at left wing back against Southampton, and then I'd have Xhaka and Lokonga in the middle, and I'd have a front three. Well, really, what I'd want with my front three is I'd want Ødegaard to be slightly deeper, and then maybe Martinelli and Pepe ahead, almost as like a narrow two. So 3-4-3 really, but Ødegaard a bit deeper, still in that number 10 role, and Martinelli and Pepe, free to roam, albeit Martinelli slightly from the left, Pepe slightly from the right. I don't know. I think that's what I prefer. Smith Rowe, bring him on, impact sub like he's done before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, I'd be happy with that as starting 11 next Saturday. I don't think he'll do it.
I don't
Um,
think he'll do it. I think
I,
it'll be the same starting 11 as we had today.
I'm more in hope than anything else. I'm going to say that Lacazette won't start.
He'll start.
Won't start.
He'll start.
I'm going to say that
He'll start.
it'll be, but it'll be Nketiah. I think, I think had Martinelli not been injured, I think it would have been Lacazette who came off for Nketiah because he did against Palace. He made that change against Palace.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think, and it was earlier. So I think he's doing it because that was the first time I remember. You know, you're looking for a goal against Palace, and Lacazette is a striker. You take him off, but of course you take him off because he's a non-goal scoring striker. And Nketiah showed much more in the 15 minutes he was on than Lacazette did in the previous 70, 75 minutes. And this was earlier. And I thought, I don't, we'll never know. But I think that had Martinelli not been injured, and he was injured, no question about that. By injured, I mean he had cramps. I don't know if that qualifies an injury, but it was a fitness issue with Martinelli, so he couldn't stay on. And I'd be curious because they wouldn't have any other subs. You know, that was it. You look at that bench, and you.
There was subs. This is who with the glasses on. He's sort of saying those young kids, they've got to be given a chance somewhere, you know. And and like you said, I think they actually Saka started playing under Emery, right?
Yeah. Actually,
but at the same time, and I suppose they had the benefit of being in Europa League games that we were never likely to lose. But
and like Smith Rowe did have a couple of loans as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not working. No one's really going to begrudge Arteta or the team or even the player themselves if they come on at 2-0 down at home to Brighton and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
No one's going to be pissed off.
No.
They're going to be probably happier that you tried something different.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that Arteta got away with it today in terms of the crowd. That last 7 or 8 minutes really saved him from a chorus of boos because that was a disgruntled home crowd for the first time this season.
But I don't think it helps in the long run because the result will stick with people that, you know, they can't forget that first half. He's mentioned it himself in his post-match. And then seeing the Spurs result after has, you know, really just changed the dynamic of where things are at. So
yeah, we now have to go to Spurs and win. But you confident that we're going to beat Southampton next week? No, not me. And then it's Man United at home.
Because what I find very telling is I make a joke of it all the time, but there is this strange, you know, intangible thing in football called narrative. And today, Chelsea absolutely wallop Southampton 6-0. We play them next week, and we lose at home to Brighton, who Spurs play next week. So you know what's coming.
Yeah,
we're going to struggle against Southampton, and Spurs are going to wallop Brighton. It's just written. Yeah.
Oh, you've cheered me right up. Thanks.
Sorry, it's hard to look for the positives. But the problem is as well is Spurs are in the position we were probably in that period in and around Christmas, where I know we played teams in difficult patches, but Leeds and Norwich, etc., etc. But we had a decent run of results. We were knocking in the goals. Again, it's all about confidence and momentum. Spurs have that at the moment. They have confidence and momentum. Kane and Son are playing the way people expect them to play. Kulusevski, this lone player they've got in, is hitting the mark. Doherty, who has done nothing but struggle at Spurs, is now is flourishing under Conte as a typical Conte player. You know, that wing back, that up and down, defending and attacking in equal measure. And Doherty's doing that, having basically failed at Spurs up to this point. and they've got the wind in their sails. So you can only really see it going one way.
But Spursy.
No, well, it's not Spursy.
No, not yet.
My best friend is a Tottenham fan. He messaged me because I messaged him saying, well, we've just gift wrapped Fort for you. And he said, yeah, but, you know, Spurs are Spursy. But they're not at the minute.
No, but this is too soon for Spursy. Come on.
Where do Spurs lose it? They've got to go to Liverpool. No one's expecting them to win that game.
No.
So the only real it's they've got Liverpool and us. The rest of the team they probably beat on current.
No, because if Spurs are going to Spurs, they'll draw at Liverpool, they'll beat us, and then they'll lose the next 2 games.
But we've just Arsenaled it up.
Yes,
Brilliant run into the international break, and now lose to Palace and lose to Brighton at home. At home, win your home games.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. And I said this at the game today. I said, however, here's some positivity as such. If I'd said to you in September, start of September, if I said to you, we would be 3 points off 4th spot with the game in hand, with 8 games to go.
I can't put my rational head on the day of the game when we've lost at home to Brighton. Tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll remember that we've got a rookie manager with a young squad who started the season very poorly and have built up slowly, bit by bit, and got us into a very good position, you know, much improved on last season. And it's just, you know, a case of, I don't know, a lack of maturity, a few injuries here and there. And, you know, I'll look back and think, well, at least we made progress and it's building for the future. You know, if they have a good summer, you know, recuperating, you know, maybe adding 1 or 2 additions to the squad or 3 or 4, which we probably need because it's a light squad.
Or 6 or 7.
Then I can go in optimistically thinking about next season as well. But today, that was crap. And we're crap. And we've thrown fourth way to local rivals.
To go all cyclical for you, it was disappointing.
Yeah, not mad, just disappointed.
I shall adopt a more rational approach to it because it helps me sleep at night. All those things you've just said that you'll wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to think them now because it's just better for my mental health to do so. I do think, we nobody could have legislated for Manchester United. Manchester United have opened the door for a 4th spot.
So someone did mention to me, you've got to wonder about the other teams around us, given how we started, how young our team is, and, you know, inexperienced our manager is as well, that we were even in this position.
Yeah.
Considering West Ham had a great start to the season, although people expected them to drop maybe a little bit. Tottenham got an elite manager in, and United have assembled one of the most expensive squads. The most expensive squad in the history of football, and somehow we've remained above them until, you know, these last couple of games.
Well, we're still above all bar,
and we're still above United and West Ham.
Yeah. And before the Palace game, we were 1 win away from being 2 points behind Chelsea.
So really, it's City and Liverpool in another stratosphere.
Yeah.
Chelsea, who are, you know, clearly floating above the clouds, but, you know, sometimes flutter. And then the rest is just kind of this soup of inconsistency and teams with flashes of brilliance, but also lots of dross in their teams and squads and not quite able to put it together.
Would you swap places with Spurs now in terms of squad?
In terms of squad?
As in, like, looking forward to the next 2-3 seasons?
Well, no, because obviously they've got a dilemma with the possibility of Son and Kane wanting a bigger payday. But if they get Champions League, I'm sure they'll stay there. and they'll add 1 or 2 players, and Spurs might even, you know, move forward again in the summer, because Conte will probably stay if they get Champions League. But yeah, we have got a very good young team. It just depends what we add to it. You know, the thing I'm jealous of at the moment is their firepower. You know, even at their lowest, you know, Kane and Son in your team. That's gonna get them into the Champions League.
Yeah, you put Kane in our team, and we're finishing 3rd.
We're a different side with a proper striker,
Yeah.
and even someone with Son's experience, because Son, you know, he's delivering the end product that I hope Martinelli can at some point. But like you say, a proper striker is really glaring. I was quite, I don't know what the word is, but, you know, accepting of the fact that Aubameyang had to go because of all sorts of reasons, mainly off the pitch, and thought that the way that Saka and Smith Rowe and Odegaard were chipping in, that maybe we would be all right. No. Lacazette's presence has just gone. Something gone. Even if his tank's empty and you just want to take him out of the team to recuperate a bit, wouldn't do him harm.
But that's not going to work. He had 2 weeks off international thing, and he put in the Palace performance, which is his worst performance before today. He's like he offers no focal point whatsoever. Whereas that's what he was doing earlier on this season.
But was he a focal point? Because his focal point was deeper.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So maybe a fulcrum, maybe that kind of link up play. But he's not even doing that now. I think Ian Wright tweeted a while ago that, not that long ago, during international break, that once opposition teams work out Lacazette, Arsenal will become impotent. A very prescient tweet that was, because that's what's happened. They've just stopped. They realised everything went through Lacazette, and Lacazette doesn't have the physical presence, capacity, skill, whatever it is, to take that challenge on and rise above it, like someone like Dennis Bergkamp. Was, you know, people opposition targeted Bergkamp, but it didn't make any difference.
I feel like that's also a little bit cruel, comparing Lacazette to Bergkamp.
Well, I'm thinking of, okay, who Mark Hughes.
Well, even as a striker that, you know, did a bit more, you know, the problem is I can only think of Arsenal players. I'm sure there's other players I can think of for other teams, but yeah, I don't know. Obviously a striker is the big. Well, a midfielder and a striker. Everyone knows the 2 positions we need to strengthen in. Well, but we do need other players. Sorry. Well, maybe that we also need a left back, because Tavares, I mean, at the very best, he has to go out on loan, and at the very worst, I don't see how he comes into the fold anymore, and we probably have to sell him. And Tierney again has gone into the physio room. His injury record isn't great, and I offer you Tomiyasu as well. You know, we've got a fantastic first 11, and had we maintained that first 11, well, for these games, you're contradicting yourself there, because Lacazette is part of that first 11. Yeah, no, but I as I was saying that, I was thinking, well, we've got enough to compensate for that. You know, with Lacazette was in the team when we were winning against Wolves home and away, and whoever else would beat in that run, Villa away. You mean the one where Lacazette expertly played it off the keeper's hand into the goal? In the 95th minute, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Expertly off the keeper's hand. Yeah, all planned, executed to perfection. But with a fully fit, kind of functioning first 11, that we could compensate for Lacazette's deficiencies, if you like. I'd love to raid some of the teams around us, because when I think about some of the positions that we're talking about fulfilling, how nice would it be to go, okay, well, we finished above them, so let's be cheeky and put in a bid for, I don't know, Antonio and Declan Rice. Ooh, that'd be tidy.
I don't want Antonio. But
Well, he's getting older, I know, yeah. And Declan Rice would be, he's just going to cost so much money. But
Rice.
okay, let's go a bit lower. Let's go Wolves, Jimenez and Neves.
Yes, Neves definitely.
Neves, I think, is quite tidy. I always am surprised by how young he is. He's only 24, 25.
I'll go even lower. Leicester City, Tielemans.
And Iheanacho.
No. Ashley Barnes.
Yeah, Ashley Barnes, Harvey Barnes.
Harvey Barnes. I've done it again. Ashley Barnes every bloody time. Sorry, Harvey.
He's caused you some PTSD, Ashley Barnes, in the past from his.
Yes, he has, because I must lie awake at night thinking of him. Perhaps, I don't know.
But yeah, Tielemans is an interesting one because, like you say, our midfield dynamic has changed. It never quite bothered me about Tielemans, and I was always convinced he was going to United. But now I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's play alongside Xhaka.
You want Conor Gallagher, really, but Chelsea.
And Zaha is a gooner.
Well, we should have had him though. That's the thing.
Should have had him.
And Emery wanted him, but who is it? Sanlehi decided no. We needed to do something dodgy with whatever went on there.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, whatever did everyone involved in that deal is gone, apart from Pepe himself. So. And I was reading today that Arsenal have put a price tag of 25 million on him.
That's one of the yearly payments, to be fair.
I think I was also reading today that we'll be getting 6 or 7 players. There's a big budget there, regardless of where we finish, because they believe in Arteta, and you have to think they would not have sanctioned the level of sales outgoings in January had they not had an eye on incomings in the summer.
Yeah. Aren't we supposed to be getting, I wasn't aware of this, but other people told me that we're getting an American goalkeeper and defender, or at least a defender that plays in America. Now, I don't know anything.
I know about we've already signed the goalkeeper. I can't remember his name now, but this defender I've not heard about.
No. Oh, and they're part of the whole, because Kroenke's got American franchise sports teams, and they're part of that network. You know, but I don't envisage players coming from the MLS and really troubling the first team. So one would assume that they're cheap squad players who aren't going to command huge wages. Thinking optimistically, you've got to hope that that money then can be invested elsewhere in someone either proven in the league or at least in European top flight somewhere along the lines. But yeah, fingers crossed that they surprise us like they did this year.
I mean, I think we needed a striker in the summer, last summer, not January. And I was banging the drum of Tammy Abrahams, and people scoffed, turned their noses up.
I'm not convinced.
You're telling me that Tammy Abrahams and that team wouldn't be far superior to Lacazette?
I think there's players that aren't even at Tammy Abrahams' level who might give us something a bit more. Calvert-Lewin, I thought, put in a very good performance today against Man United. He was a bit isolated. Everton were backs against the walls for a long time, but when the ball did break, you know, his commitment couldn't be doubted. He was pressing and harrying and causing a nuisance. But yeah, Abraham is still a Chelsea player, is that right?
No.
Oh, he's been sold to Roma.
Yeah, no, Roma own him. Roma have slapped £100 million price tag on his head.
Oh well, when that's
no,
exactly.
But I think they bought him for 25.
Wow.
Which for me that was a no-brainer. You wanted somebody hungry, wanting to prove themselves. He's not a top 4. He's not a Champions League striker, or he wasn't in the summer a Champions striker. But we weren't a Champions League team. But he would have helped us, especially what transpired with Aubameyang. And I know maybe that was quite sudden and unplanned. But have we done enough on this now? Have we killed it?
No. When's our next game? Our next game is United at home.
Yeah, we've got Southampton away, United at home. 6 points from that, and we're back in it. Stefan, come on.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Mathematically, that would put us back in it. Weirdly, I think I'm more confident about getting something out of the game against United at home than I am Southampton. And that's that weird football fan logic. But United look so odd to watch at the minute that I don't see them doing much different. Whereas Southampton, you know, it's away. It's a place we've struggled at in the past. They will react to getting thumped 6-0 today. They will react to Timo Werner scoring against them. And he scored 2. Can believe it when someone told me. I was like, really? So yeah, they will react, and then we'll see.
Yeah, the game was at 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday.
Yep.
Oh, I might not be able to see it. Oh no.
No, I'll have to listen to it. I won't be able to watch it.
What a shame.
And I'm probably not going to go out of my way either to do that. Yeah, I know. Saturday next week is the only day we're not seeing family because it's Easter holidays. So I might make sure that it's a well-used day, not wasted getting pissed off about Arsenal.
Easter egg hunting or something like that.
Yeah, that's a bit wasted on me because I've you know, can't eat loads of chocolate.
You can hide them. You can hide them.
Well, we've got plenty of chickens. I will just be eating pickled eggs.
There you go.
You know, until I can't eat anymore.
Right, before we descend into like various levels of madness, we should park it there. I'm not sure how cathartic nor positive we feel having done this. However, we have done this. So there we go. We can draw a line under it. All right. Well, I'll catch you next Saturday to talk about a game neither of us have seen. That should be fun.
No worries.
That should be fun.
All
right. Ciao.